The hosts of Bracketology are experts in nothing. They claim no advanced knowledge or profound insights. Instead, they are just three judgmental idiots who really like to bloviate their own opinions whenever given the chance. Take what they have to say with a grain of salt, or not at all. You'll probably be better off that way.
Merry Christmas, fellas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
That's right. We say Merry Christmas around here.
Well, hold on. Let's walk that back just a little bit, because I do believe in other holidays.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
holidays.
they don't. I'm not saying they don't exist. No. Stand by your convictions. You said Merry Christmas.
Zero convictions.
We say
of all the things to stand by and have a conviction on, this is not the one. I just happen to say Merry Christmas to you because I know that you celebrate Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you celebrate Christmas or not.
That's not how holidays work.
Yeah.
Would you go up to a British person and say Happy 4th of July?
Now, wait a second. That doesn't make. Yeah, I mean, how would you know, right?
That it's the 4th of July?
No, that they're British.
If in London, say you go to London, are you going to walk up to some random person on the 4th of July and say Happy Independence Day?
Honestly, yes, because I want to see what their reaction would be, like the confusion that would come with that.
When I was on my honeymoon down in Mexico, they had a big 4th of July celebration, and I still don't understand it. But
I mean, people here go crazy for Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
So, no, you're right. We're not saying Merry Christmas as an attack, because there's no such thing as the war on Christmas. It is our warm way of saying that we appreciate all of you, and it is we know it means the same as Happy Holidays. It is a warm, welcoming greeting, and we're happy to have all of you here with us too for this very special holiday episode.
I do think that we should go back and take back the paganness of this day. Let's bring back just the winter solstice celebration. Let's get away from Christ.
The number of ways you try and find to justify sacrificing a goat, I will not understand.
If we just do it the one time, we might be successful.
I mean, he does have a point, but I cannot abide by killing a goat.
There is
too cute.
It doesn't have to be a real goat. We can get a piñata.
Oh, well, if that's the case.
Yeah. Especially if it's filled with candy.
No, it's filled with blood.
You have to recreate the similarity somehow, but it's ethically sourced blood.
Yeah.
It comes from Dan.
Bleed him dry.
All of my nosebleeds.
He is a quarter goat. It's somewhere in his family tree. I'm sure of it. I know where he grew up.
That's fucked up.
He nodded really quickly at it, though. He was like,
yeah, he briefly agreed.
That's because it takes my brain a minute to register what you all say.
That's the goat.
He then falls over when we make loud noises next to him.
Yeah,
Just tenses up and passes out. Hello and welcome to Bracketology, the podcast that usually, definitively decides all things tournament bracket style, but not this year. Not this year. Not this episode. Nay, I say.
Year. We're breaking the format for the next year.
We're breaking that format for the next 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. This week, we welcome you all to our first annual holiday special. Primarily because the episode literally drops on Christmas Day. So we really hope you're not listening, because I hope you have better things to do on Christmas Day than to listen to this podcast. But, if you need something on in the background as you're driving home from grandma's, well, then we're happy to be here for you. I am the jolliest elf, Scott Grubb.
Happy holiday Bracktacular. I'm trying to make it stick. Matt Robinson.
And I'm Dan Default.
What do we have in store for our listeners this week?
So I figured that we'd all just kind of like sit around a tree
Sure.
and open presents for each other virtually through the form of different topics, games, discussions, etc., related to the holidays. So we're doing this one a little bit different, right? We didn't want to put a bracket together mainly because we don't want to run out of things to do for next year
Sure.
this early. And why not try something a little bit different, right? See if it sticks, see if people enjoy it. So I want to start off. I know that we all have prepped gifts for each other in the
Correct.
form of a game or something else. I actually have a few different discussion topics, so I want to just kind of pepper mine in as we go through to give a little bit of a break for some things, if that's all right.
Okay.
I think that sounds good. You want to kick one off right away?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then what we'll do is I'll throw it to one of you. You can do your thing. Then I'll do another discussion
My,
topic, and then we'll
if
go.
I may, my thing is really going to be best served in two parts. I kind of need your help wrapping the gift, and then we can unwrap it later. So if I may request going second and then circling back to the later, that I think
Oh,
that would be best served.
I wanted to go second. And
Well,
his
too
gift
late.
is his penis for you, Matt. And just
Look,
he
as long
wants
as
you
it's
to
wrapped,
wrap it, then unwrap it.
as long as it's wrapped. So do you guys remember, just to kind of start this off, do you remember the best Christmas or holiday present that you received growing up or into adulthood? I want to say growing up because I feel like that's when it's the most poignant. Um, but just like your best Christmas gift or present that you received. So for me, I always struggled with anxiety the night before Christmas. I couldn't sleep. Like there was no possible option for me to fall asleep on Christmas Eve. Um, and I remember there are multiple to choose from. My parents weren't always very well off, but they did everything that they could for us. Um, so we had a few different really good gifts. We had a trampoline at one point. We got I think I got my Super Nintendo during Christmas. A lot of really good options, but the one that I remember being the most excited for and probably changed the trajectory of my life. Um, I remember waking up way before my parents, or I was just up the whole night, going upstairs. So we used to live in this ranch style house. And at this point, there was a basement that had 2 bedrooms in it, and like this huge like living space. And I was in one bedroom. My sister was in the other bedroom downstairs. I remember waking up, going and getting her, and then walking upstairs through the kitchen. We had our tree and everything set up in the dining room, and against the dining room wall was this giant thing that was loosely wrapped in Christmas wrap. And here's how bad of a child I was. I would walk up, I would find my presents when everybody was asleep and like figure out a way to figure out what was inside of them. Um, man, I was a terrible child. But that morning, I did not know that that was there until my sister and I walked up to it. I think that was the morning that we unwrapped all the gifts before we got our parents up, but that one specifically was our first at-home PC. It
Mm.
was the green and black screen with the floppy disks. It had the flight simulator on it. It was absolutely horrendous, but it started from that point forward. I do not remember a part of my childhood where we did not have a home PC. And that just, it created my love for video games and technology and, wanting to do things. And it worked out because the world apparently agreed with me.
Did you guys have that like overly elaborate like desk with the
Yeah, like
CD slot holder and the
full wood or at least wood finished, right?
yeah, like
And
weird corner shape that like every household had?
absolutely every household. I mean,
Yeah.
it worked. It
It
was
was a 90s
great.
staple. It
Mm-hmm.
had to be there.
I also
Just
remember
like dial up. It was just there.
it was that and AOL CDs.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but this, I mean, it was just such a big deal for us because it was like the first time we got like some huge technological thing for Christmas. And then we had to learn how to share it. My dad had to learn how to defrag computers and would do it regularly.
Wonder why they had to do that.
I don't know. And then eventually, I don't know. It was just one of those things. I just distinctly remember that morning seeing the computer for the first time, and it was huge for me.
And approximately what age was this?
Man, I was probably, so let's see. I measure my time by Colorado tragedies. So it was sometime after Jean Bonnet, but before Columbine.
Oh my gosh.
So I was,
This is the holiday episode,
That
Matt.
is the saddest calendar I have ever heard.
it was probably, I mean, it was probably like 97, 98. I was probably 9 or 10.
That has inspired me to make a calendar of tragedies, just like a calendar, like, you know, the peel, like the word of a day or trivia question of the day.
It's the
Tragedy
tragedy of the
tragedy of the day. Just like 18 years ago today, this happened. Okay. All right.
There's
I'm sorry.
probably
what was
a market for it.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, clearly. Okay.
Brought
I'm
to you
sorry.
by Bracketology.
I got distracted by the tragedy of the day. What was the actual age number you landed on?
I was probably like 9 or 10, somewhere
Okay.
around there.
Okay. And you were a night owl, often up while the rest of the family was asleep.
Man, so I still experience a ton of anxiety, but when I was a kid, the most anxiety I had was the night before something big like happening. So the night before Christmas, the night before New Year's, the night before we would take a road trip, like whatever it was that was like a big deal for like that's when I would have the worst
But
anxiety.
I'm saying in general, like you were usually awake later than the rest of your family.
I mean, yeah, probably.
Yeah, and you had a computer, and your dad often had to fix it. Okay, I see the correlation. Mine was also probably technical. I don't know that it necessarily changed the course of my life per se, but I definitely do remember getting the PlayStation and getting Tomb Raider. And that combination for Christmas, and like being so stoked to set it up and you know, hitting that power. I mean, nothing beats that boot up sound of the PlayStation from back in the day. It is a core memory. And then, you know, jumping right into Tomb Raider, those wonderful pyramid shaped boobies at a formative age. And then like in the first level, you're running around the corner of the Great Wall of China and a tiger jumps out at you.
Jumps out of you?
Out of
That's
you,
fucking
yeah.
impressive.
Jumps out at you. And I remember like being a kid on Christmas Day playing this, and like it scared me. Like it startled me. I wasn't expecting it. And I mean, I had video game systems before, but man, the PlayStation was really the one that like I was fully invested in. And I mean, I went back and I have a PlayStation Classic now, the little mini version with the, you know, games booted on it. And I think a lot of my decision to get that was nostalgia from being a kid, and it's such a great Christmas present.
PlayStation 5 is doing a thing right now where you can choose the boot up sequence of PlayStations 1 through 5 to celebrate the PlayStation's 30th year anniversary.
Nice.
So every time I boot up my PlayStation, that is what plays for me, that iconic opening. I think for me, it's difficult to narrow it down. So I did two.
Well, but you did get the stick and the hoop, right? At one point.
Oh my God, I was thinking the exact same thing. Literally the exact same item.
I fucking hate both you guys.
You've just talked so much about how much you loved stick and hoop growing up.
I did love stick and hoop. God, I hate you guys. No, my actual so the earlier of the toys that I will reminisce on is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sewer playset. So you know, You had the underground portion, which is where the turtles lived, and then you had all kinds of stuff on the street level where they could swing in on power lines and, all this kind of stuff. So again, being raised by, a single mom who didn't pull in a whole lot of money, she did everything that she could for us. And this was like a big extravagant, toy set for me. So I absolutely freaking love the Ninja Turtles. I had to have been around 9 or 10, I think, when I got it. And it was just amazing. And then the second one that I got was a Sega Genesis. So my brother had a Super Nintendo, but it was very much his. And the Christmas that I got the Sega Genesis with Sonic the Hedgehog, and a game called Comic Zone. I don't know if any of you have ever seen that, but it is absolutely amazing. I was so happy to have a gaming console of my own that, I didn't have to share. I didn't have to ask for permission to play. It was mine. That was a big thing for me.
I like how your mom started a culture war within your household between a Nintendo kid and a Sega kid.
Well, I think it gave me an open appreciation for both. It made me more well-rounded.
I think the fact that his brother got the Nintendo and he got the Sega clearly shows which one was the favorite.
Now,
as if there was any doubt. She never said or did anything, to show it, but there were hints.
There were hints. I don't know. I remember. So I was a Nintendo kid. Like I had a Super Nintendo. We kind of shared an NES with my aunt and uncle and their family. But then my cousins had Sega, and there were some games that you could only play on Sega that, other than Sonic, that it definitely had its own appeal. This isn't a video game podcast, but I will say, shout out to Sega.
I'm imagining Dan with his little Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle set in the sewer and being like, "This is where my poopy goes when I flush." Like, I feel like that would have been
that
a focus 100% for him.
Came out of his mouth at some point.
Yeah,
I would not desecrate the
you
sanctity
can't remember
of Master
lunch
Splinter.
yesterday. You cannot tell me there's zero chance that happened.
No, it just never crossed my mind that would come anywhere close to the sanctity of where Master Splinter laid.
They were sewer creatures.
Yeah, but that didn't equate to me. Like at that age, I didn't think about the fact that that's where poo goes.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, that I think is our first Christmas memory that we're gonna ruminate on as our favorite gifts. So, Scott, do you want to?
Yeah. So mine, I need a little help. I guess you might say wrapping my gift for you all. I have prepared part of something. I need your help getting it the rest of the way there. So let me
dick on the Dan.
No, we're gonna do our first ever Bracketallogy Christmas Mad Lib.
Oh shit!
Gross.
So
this is gonna be bad.
Here's the thing. There's quite a few gaps.
When did you have time to put this together?
Very late. There's quite a few words here, so some rules in place. You're going to need to be quick.
Oh, I'm out.
Be creative. We need the first thing that comes to your minds. Be collaborative. So quick, collaborative, creative, and crank dat. Those are the rules. Ready?
Wait, what was the last one?
Crank dat. Moving on. So I'm going to give you a prompt. You guys collaboratively and quickly give me the first word. Then we'll discuss something else and we'll come back and we'll revisit the Mad Lib. Sound good?
No.
All right,
Dan,
here we go.
You thinking the same thing I'm thinking?
No.
Okay.
Good. That's going to make it even better. All right, so here are your prompts. Ready? We got a few of them. There's quite a few of them. Here we go. Whoop, too far. First, a place you would not want to spend Christmas. A place you wouldn't want to spend Christmas.
Jail.
Ooh, okay. I need you guys to agree on one.
I mean, jail's probably the right way to go.
Yeah.
All right. So, oh gosh. Jail.
How did?
Oh, where did the line
Is this
come
a
from?
program?
All right. Next. What? I need a drink, a beverage.
Let's go with watermelon juice. Does it have to be one word?
No, it can be watermelon juice is good. Do you guys want to alternate? You want to go back and forth? I like that.
Okay.
All right. Matt with watermelon juice.
All right,
All right.
Hold on. Melon has one L, Scott.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Oh, yeah, I did. There we go. Thank you. Next. Dan. An emotion.
Joy.
All right. Matt, a past tense verb.
Died.
Wow.
Do I need to pick a different one?
No, we'll roll with that. Dan, a large object.
The sun.
Okay, interesting. Interesting choice. All right. Matt, a number.
723842.
Okay.
All right, sure. This is going to be interesting, especially when you consider the next prompt. Dan, a liquor.
Maker's Mark.
I knew that would happen. Did not mean for that to land on Dan, but that was predictable.
To be fair, that would have also been my drink of choice over
Sure.
watermelon juice.
Matt, a plural insult.
Bitches.
That checks out. Dan, a verb ending in ing.
And I can't use dying.
What?
Masturbating.
Why not? Oh, God.
This is a holiday special. Matt, a noun that makes you uncomfortable. Remind you, Dan just said masturbating.
Dan.
Whoa.
Dan is a noun that makes you uncomfortable. Dan, a plural noun.
Dan's.
No, we just did Dan.
Fuck. Okay.
One is enough.
Pictures.
Okay.
He literally looked around. It's the first thing he saw was pictures.
Yeah.
He just said the word.
Yeah. My name is Fridge Funko. All right. Matt, an illicit item.
Oh, God.
A steel chair.
Ooh.
Wait, is this what we missed? I feel like that's not what you mean by illicit, but
Foreign
object.
No, it wasn't, but that's fine. Dan, an adjective. Whoop. Hold on, I went too many times. Sorry. There we go. Adjective.
Run?
That's what?
I don't know.
Adjectives are descriptive words.
Yeah, run-y.
Runny. Okay.
Oh, God.
Matt, another adjective.
Brown.
Okay. Oh, man. Adjectives are not bracketology strong point, I see. Okay.
Hey, that's a descriptive word for
It is.
something.
You're right.
It's brown and running.
Yeah. Dan, a food.
Lime green jello with cabbage and carrots.
What do you call it, Matt? Jello stuff?
No, it's just green jello.
Green jello. All right. We'll just call it green jello. We'll know what that is. There's no W in jello. Matt, another adjective.
Sharp.
Oh, there we go. That's a good one. I don't remember what that prompt is, but it might work out. Oh, no, it won't work out. Dan, a gift you wouldn't give to your grandmother.
Oh, pornography.
All right. You give pornography as a gift often, just not to your grandmother?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Matt, I need yet another adjective.
Scaly.
Ooh, I don't know how well that's going to play out. All right. Dan, a gross object.
Oh, boogers.
Okay. Matt, a painful object.
Oh shit. A needle?
Okay. Sure. Dan,
Hmm.
a body part.
Big toe.
All right. Matt, a verb. I did not expect big toe.
Nobody does.
Play.
All right. Dan,
Hmm.
a different body part.
Earlobe.
Matt, this is pretty funny. A gross food.
Green Jello.
Asparagus.
No, I knew that's what it was going to be.
I had 3 that I could have picked from, and I had to go with one.
I mean, asparagus is pretty canon for the podcast at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Dan, give me another body part.
Oh, fuck. Belly button.
Okay. Matt,
Gosh.
a dangerous object.
Lawnmower.
Ooh. Hey, Dan. One more body part.
Butthole.
Man, I don't know. I don't remember quite the order of what these are, but that's okay. Matt, a violent verb.
This is going to be the longest Mad Lib.
It's not too long. What was that?
Kill.
All right. Dan, a bodily fluid.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
There's not that many.
There's not a lot to choose from, but
I'm gonna go with urine.
Matt, a past tense verb. Jeez. I mean, yeah, it kind of seems like that's what we've got to use now.
Now I have to leave that in the podcast.
Thanks, Dan. Hey, Dan, while you're turning red from laughter over there, can you do me a favor and name an animal?
Kitty cat.
Really? You're sure you don't want to pick something that lives in a barn, you fucking cow? Kitty cat. I don't know why I spelled it as a K. Matt, a room in a house.
Um,
I just remembered this part of the story.
bedroom.
All right. Dan, a gross substance.
Dan, all of Dan's make me remind me of like that British guy from Family Feud, where he was doing the final, like, you had to have seen this video. He was doing like the final like thing, and for like 4 of the 5 words, he said turkey. Do you remember this guy?
No.
Oh, I'm gonna have to send you this, but it's literally like the first thing you get at a grocery store, and he goes turkey. And he goes something you'd take to the beach, and he goes turkey. He's like something you'd have for the holidays, turkey, and just like every time
in Europe, turkey.
Yeah,
I like it.
So a gross substance.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna go with sewage water, or just sewage.
All right. And then last one, Matt, another plural insult.
penises.
All right. Thank you very much. So that we'll revisit that in a few moments when after I plug these in, and we'll come back and circle back. The last plural insult. It's still on the screen. I'll allow it.
All right. I want to say dick asses because I've been saying that a lot lately.
You've gotten me to say that at this point. Like playing Rocket League, somebody steals the ball and I'm like, dick ass. And then I'm like, oh no, Matt's rubbing off on me. Which is very different than rubbing off onto me. All right. We'll revisit this in a few moments. I'm going to take this opportunity to plug that into the first ever Bracketology Mad Lib. Dan.
All right.
Yeah.
What do you got for us?
Do you want a palate cleanser before you go, Dan?
No, because I just want to get my gift kind of out of the way because, Matt, you stole one of the things I was going to talk about, and I'm super thankful that Kristen told me to come with two. So my gift to you all is nostalgia. I want you to think about, it could be centered around your, family's holiday traditions or just an event that happened around the holidays, but one of your or a couple of your favorite holiday memories that's centered around tradition. So mine, I have a couple that I'll give as an example. Um, when we were growing up, it was my brother and I, and then we had, a few cousins that we, grew up in the same town as. So we always did Christmas Eve together. So we would all get together at my grandparents' house, and that's where we would open our gifts to each other. So we always like took turns every year drawing names of the cousins, and that's who we would buy gifts for. And then we would get together and open those gifts. And I was always so excited because A, it was fun to hang out with my cousins and my brother. It was fun to get the family together. But B, the presents were always, something to look forward to. So every year we would go to my grandparents' house and they would have this big meal, and we couldn't open presents until the meal was done. So all of us kids would rush through eating. We would eat as fast as we could. And then we would have to sit and wait for the parents to eat. And then we would bug the parents to hurry up and finish eating. But I remember it was those events. It was just so fun for me as a kid. And then the second part of that, the second one I'll tell you about is afterwards, we would go home. And my brother and I, we were 4 years apart. Although we are very close now, we definitely were not close when we were growing up. He was very cool and I was very not. And I guess he's just come to accept the fact that I'm not that cool. So, but back in those days, this was like the one time of year that we would hang out. And usually we would end up like sleeping in the same room together, kind of waiting on Santa Claus or whatever the case may be. But the coolest thing was just being able to hang out with my older brother. It's where we would play video games, Double Dribble on the Nintendo. And, we would just actually be brothers for a night. And that was nice.
Yeah, I mean your first story definitely reminds me of we called it the Robinson family Christmas, where
Ooh.
all of my dad's siblings would bring all of their family, and on my dad's side, I'm the youngest cousin, like by quite a bit, other than my sister. So all of my cousins were older than me, so much so that like my actual cousin, we would call him an uncle because he was a fully grown adult managing McDonald's and I was a child. But we would do Robinson family Christmases, and it would be this like giant secret Santa that would last the entire year. So you'd go through one family Christmas, and then at the end of the night, you would pick a new name for next year, and then you'd have to remember who that is for the next year. And my dad always kept our names in his wallet for who we had. And they separated it by like adult to kid. So it would be a kid getting a present for a kid. It would be an adult getting a present for an adult. But my favorite memories from that actually come from getting a chance to actually hang out with cousins that I didn't see all that often, right? Because there was a large number of people there. Like there would probably end up being 50 to 70 people there, if not more. Seeing like my cousin David, who I always looked up to, he was always just fucking ridiculously good at ping pong, and I wanted to be just like him. My cousin JJ, and I haven't seen her since I was a child. These people that you like look up to in a lot of ways, and it's the one time you actually get to not just spend time together, but actually do things together, which was kind of nice. And then the one thing from that, we haven't had a Robinson family Christmas in a few years. But the one thing that I want to bring back, I don't have a family right now, but it's something that I've brought up with, lots of people, my work friends, you guys. I've probably talked about it. Is something simple, but just an ornament exchange. I think that it doesn't have to be anything big, but I always remember my Aunt Lois would knit these like little tiny mittens that were like really cool ornaments that you would hang on the tree. And we had tons of different pairs of them and little booties too. And it was just, I don't know. I always look back on that very, very fondly. My other,
Dude,
yeah.
I'll do an ornament exchange with you right now.
Hell yeah, let's do a bracketology ornament exchange.
I'm 100% down with that, bro.
I mean, it would be cool. It was a lot more because there were so many people. The way that they did it is you brought your ornament in and it got hung up on the tree and a number got put on the bottom of it. And then they would go either in age order or reverse age order, and you pick your number out of a cup and then you go find that ornament. It was just,
that is pretty cool.
it was kind of fun.
Nice.
The other like core memory that I have, it wasn't directly on Christmas. But I remember being a kid. So I grew up in Colorado. I grew up in North Glen, Colorado. And there's a main street that's 104th Avenue. It's a main thoroughfare at this point. It connects to our main highway, I-25, et cetera. It goes all the way out west towards the mountains. But the street would always be decorated. And I guarantee it because I'm going to be up there in a week or so. I'm sorry, this week I'm going to be up there because today's Christmas Day. And I guarantee it's going to be decorated the exact same way. I remember going to McDonald's one day, eating. It was me, my sister, and my 3 cousins. My mom taking us back to our house. I fell asleep. I woke up maybe 20 minutes later. I was convinced it had been weeks that I was asleep. Like there was snow on the ground. Like it had just gotten darker. And I will always remember how disorienting it was to wake up after a short period of time and be like, it's a different dimension right now. Like I don't know what's going on. But that's semi Christmas related.
Yeah, I think mine, honestly, mine is I have a very similar, but it's much more recent, because my wife's family is large. She's got like 7 or 8 aunts and uncles, and it's a very tight knit group. So at Christmas time, they all get together, which means you've got her grandfather, and then you've got all the aunts and uncles, and then with them, you have all their kids. So that's her cousins. And now, obviously, she's at the age, and many of them are as well, where there's their kids. So you're looking at, 4 generations. There was even at one point 5 generations, excuse me, all coming together for this big Christmas event. So kind of like what you're talking about, Matt. I mean, you're fit for 45, 50 people all like in one house having a huge meal. They do it like a potluck type thing. Everyone brings, sides or a dish or whatever. And everyone comes together. And, I think there's a lot of those similar traditions that are very, I love those Christmases because we do the adults do a white elephant or Yankee swap or whatever you want to call it game. So everyone brings age appropriate items, and then we play that, and then all the kids do Secret Santa. So all the kids' names go in a hat. They do Secret Santa drawing. We draw the names at Thanksgiving, and then kids do the present exchange at Christmas. But we I don't know. I think it's so much fun just having like that many people together to be able. It's like one of a few times a year maybe where like the whole family tends to get together. And I think sometimes it can present challenges because now it's these families are diverse, are branching out. We all want to have our own kind of tradition. So maybe we don't always necessarily do it on Christmas Day anymore, but like that time that we can kind of revisit and all come together is so much fun. And it's such a big thing for everyone in that group. And I think too, like thinking back to as growing up as a kid, like that was a big thing for me then too. Like my God, like on Christmas, my godparents would usually come over and bring me and my sister presents too. And then my great uncle would come over and like, they'd all stay for dinner. Like we'd cook the big family dinner and have everyone over for it. And, it's just like a special meal because it's not the stuff you get on a normal day. Like we don't have ham and mashed potatoes and all that stuff on a normal day, or my mom's unique pumpkin pie recipe. She made this weird pumpkin pie. My sister is still like obsessed with it to this day. She's not listening. I was never super big on it, but it was just like she'd get one of the like pre-made tin pie crusts and then like just mix canned pumpkin with like Cool Whip and like that was it. Yeah, it was like a very simple no bake.
Yeah, I definitely had it. Yeah.
Yeah, she loved it.
I do think, though, that those types of events, it's funny that all three of us kind of have something similar, because I do think that is at least part of the reason why I've always loved the Christmas time, right? Is getting to be around people and doing things with people that you don't normally get to do. And, presents and things like that are kind of in that, but mainly, I mean, that's how I learned how to play different card games and why I enjoy board games so much is because of stuff like that. Like I learned cribbage at our family Christmas with my dad, and I learned, how to play ping pong because of my cousin. Like I think it's a reason for the season in a lot of ways is to get those families together. I think that's also why I always wanted such a big family, and instead I have you guys.
Look, buddy. For Christmas, I'm going to get you a girlfriend.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Order off Temu or Wish.com or something.
I feel like at least go with like an Amazon or something.
I feel like
it's
you have a
upgraded.
Greater chance of finding human trafficking on Temu and Wish than on Amazon.
Now that we put a name to it, Dan, you want to wrap this section up?
I don't know if I could put a bow on what just happened, but
two bows, one on each side of the
chesticles. So, thank you for sharing your memories and reminiscing with me.
And here's to making more great memories in the future. We have plenty of time to do it.
Yeah. I mean, and I do think that Bracketeers, if you have a want to join this might be an opportune time to kind of throw out. If you want to join the Bracketology, I almost just said it weird, ornament exchange, tell us what your thoughts are on maybe getting into a shared Discord chat. We've thrown that around a little bit, and I think we'd like to know if all 12 of our listeners would be interested in joining a Discord where you can talk with each other and us.
We'll open it up.
Yell at us directly instead of indirectly.
Perfect. I like it.
So to give a little bit of that palate cleanser that I was going to talk about, that I actually had that one kind of on my list, Dan, except it was worst Christmas memory instead of best Christmas memory. So this one's probably more in the season. I will leave the worst Christmas memory off the table for now. I do, however, want to use Scott's mom's pumpkin thing as a transition into my other one that I had, which is, what is your favorite Christmas dessert? Like legitimately, what is the best Christmas dessert for you as an individual?
I'm going to jump out there because I don't know, honestly, if either of you will be familiar with it. I love egg custard pie.
Interesting. Isn't all custard egg based?
Maybe, but I just know this to be called egg custard pie. I mean, yeah, I think it is. But like, so where I grew up, there was a restaurant in town. There were a few of them called K&W. Dan, are you familiar with K&W?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very unique place. There's still a few of them that exist. They haven't gone out of business yet, but It was like an old school cafeteria. Like you'd go in and at the start you get a tray and you walk down, not necessarily a buffet line, but like a cafeteria line, and there'd be like a salad station and you could get a salad, and then there'd be like entrees and sides and whatever you could get. And then at the end there was dessert. And then when you got to the very end, there was a counter and they'd ring that all up based on what you put on your tray. And they made an egg custard pie that was so good. And every year at Christmas, usually I think it was my uncle, because he'd go to K&W and eat like weekly. Like he was, those stories of like the person who's such a regular at a restaurant that one day they don't show up, and then the people that work at the restaurant get worried about them and like call a wellness check to find out if the person's okay. That was my uncle. And so he would bring the egg custard pie, and it's so like sweet and creamy and delicious. And it was like, I got it throughout the year, but like to have a whole pie in the house, that was a Christmas tradition. That was always so delicious.
Now, was it just custard flavored? Like, did it have a flavor other than?
No, it was basically just a custard pie, like just pie crust and an egg custard center. That was pretty much it. It's like a sweet eggnog.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, it was yummy. Mikey, my brother-in-law, actually tried to make one. Not tried. He did make one for me a few years ago, and it was pretty close to what I remember. It was good.
Isn't there a K&W like sort of near the Roanoke Airport? I think that was the last one I went to.
Yeah. That's I think the only one still open in town. I think or the Salem one might still be open, but the one that was in the mall was closed. We're very much narrow casting here.
Yep.
Yeah, a little bit.
To the people
Even
in the Roanoke and Salem area.
Dan, what about you? What's your favorite?
I don't know if I really had a favorite like holiday dessert that we made all the time. There were definitely a couple of one-offs, but my favorite, all-time favorite dessert that came on a holiday to me was my grandmother. She used to make fruit pizza every year for my birthday. And for those of
Isn't
you
your birthday in March?
No, August.
August. That's what I meant.
So for those of you that haven't been blessed with a fruit pizza, it's basically a sugar cookie dough laid out as you would expect in pizza shape. And then you take cream cheese, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of vanilla. You whip that up until it's nice and spreadable. Spread that across, and then you have blueberries, kiwi, strawberries, grapes cut up, and all of that put on top. And that's basically a fruit pizza, and it is, to this day, my most favorite thing.
I think that's fair. I do think that that's somewhat holiday related. Like, I do think that there are plenty of people that will do something similar, especially with like the sugar cookie dough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, anybody that knows me knows my favorite dessert in general just happens to also coincide with the holidays and with Christmas. I love apple pie so much. It's amazing. And the fact that, and I think, you know what it is? It's the cinnamon and the nutmeg and the clove. It's all the spices that go into it that make it very holiday-esque, which is why my favorite set of all time is a candle from Bath and Body Works that is called 'Tis the Season. It is only available during Christmas, and it smells like those spices, and it's fucking amazing. So yeah, we talked about doing a dessert bracket for the holidays. But I felt like this was more impactful and more specific just to us, is what is our favorite holiday dessert. So that takes us through that.
Look, I mean, my preference for my love for an egg custard pie is definitely profound. But if we were to do a bracket, like, it'd be hard pressed to beat apple pie as an overall ending dessert winner. Because, I mean, that's the GOAT choice right there. I mean, it's apple. You can't go wrong. And apple dessert is always the best.
Apple pie, do you like it with the ice cream? Sans the ice cream.
So I don't need it with ice cream. I think that's the difference. I'll take it either way because it's apple pie.
But what do you prefer?
If I'm just ordering apple pie and they say, do you want it a la mode? The answer is no, generally.
How do you feel about the people who put a slice of cheddar cheese on top?
I get that.
Heathens.
So hold on.
You get that?
I get it because it's the salty and the sweet, right? It's especially because it has to be cheddar cheese specifically. It can't just be like random cheese. There are a lot. That's disgusting. There are a lot of people that get really into a slice of cheddar cheese on a slice of pumpkin pie or apple pie. Pumpkin would be wildly different.
I think those people deserve lumps of coal in their stocking.
See, and here's the thing. I love grilled cheese and applesauce together. So like I totally
Wait, you
get
dip
it.
the grilled cheese in the applesauce?
Well, I spoon the applesauce onto the grilled cheese and then take a bite. So I still got the heat of the grilled cheese and the cold of the applesauce.
That's still more acceptable and understanding to me. I can accept and understand that, if I'm being honest. But putting the cheese on an apple pie, I don't know, maybe something about the pie, the delivery method of the apple, but I can't get behind it.
I mean, think about it though, right? It's just like a buttery crust. Like the crust isn't hyper sweet. So really what you have sweetness from is going to be the apple pie filling. So you have
You're turning me on.
You have the apple pie filling, but not as sweet crust.
Hard as a
and
rock.
then cheddar cheese. Like you're going
not interested anymore. I'm rolling over and going to sleep now.
From sweet to very savory. I don't know. Maybe that's something that we need to try. I've never actually eaten it, to be fair.
All right. Well,
but I get it.
Maybe that's how we'll usher in the new year, is a slice of apple pie with cheddar cheese on top.
No.
Try new things in 2025. All right, gentlemen. I have finished compiling our Christmas Mad Lib. Are you ready to see?
No.
I mean, I honestly kind of forgot most of the words that we said.
Same.
So I do want to remind you all prior to starting that, again, you did pick these words. I did have to do a little modification, maybe on tense a little bit, but otherwise these are your words. And I'm very excited to share this story with you. So everybody, let's grab your blankies. Let's bundle together get nice and cozy for our end of the evening Christmas story.
Everybody gather around the fire.
Yes, gather around the fire
Santa,
as I read you a Christmas story.
Skanta, that's your name.
It was Christmas Eve, and Scott, Matt, and Dan were stuck in jail, sipping on watermelon juice instead of eggnog. The three joyous co-hosts were supposed to be home, but Dan had died.
Aw.
The car into the sun after 723,842 shots of Maker's Mark. Nice job, Dan, Matt grumbled. Now we're stuck in here like a bunch of bitches. Scott, I will say, hold on. I really want to preface this. But Dan had died. I had this slide prepared with it ending on that and then starting the next sentence, and then you guys picked died. Same thing here. I already had the slide ending with this word and moving on. And so it really makes for some unfortunate pauses in the storytelling. Scott, but it gets worse because you don't even remember what the next noun is. Scott, who was busy masturbating a Dan, didn't care. At least we have pictures and steel chairs. Merry freaking Christmas.
I mean, suddenly, that fits really well. Yeah. Steel chairs.
Suddenly, a runny Santa appeared at the window. He looked brown, but smelled like green Jell-O. He was carrying a large, sharp sack, but instead of toys, it was full of pornography. Ho, 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 you scaly degenerates, Santa Claus growled. You've been naughty, so instead of coal, here's a booger and a needle to shove up your big toe.
Oh my
You anticipated him saying ass or butthole.
Yeah. Scott, being a true genius, decided to play Santa right in his earlobe. I don't know what that means. Santa responded by throwing asparagus at Matt and screaming something about his belly button rash.
Oh my God.
Meanwhile, Dan pulled a lawnmower out of his butthole. Which logistically, I don't even want to try and figure out. Dan pulled a lawnmower out of his butthole and yelled, "You can't ruin Christmas, old man." Before anyone can stop him, he killed Santa, sending urine all over the room like festive tinsel.
Oh.
As sirens wailed in the distance, Scott turned to Matt and said, "This has been the best Christmas since that time we burped that kitty cat in Dan's mom's bedroom."
Oh. Oh.
Oh, man. Matt laughed and wiped the sewage off his face. "Merry Christmas, you filthy dickasses." Dan, with a wild look in his eye, said, "Let's never speak of this again," before licking the urine off of his lawnmower.
Let's never speak of this again.
Merry Christmas from Bracketology.
Holy shit.
Oh,
My cheeks hurt. Both sets from pulling a pulling a lawnmower out.
Yeah, I mean, again, I really figured butthole would probably be the first body part you went with, not third. I'm still not sure how I play Santa's ear, or earlobe, but pulling a lawnmower out of your butthole is logistically more impressive.
Yeah.
I also like that Santa's runny the whole time. Like,
Just slightly dripping for some reason.
yeah, his eye is slowly falling down his face.
He's brown and runny and smells like green jello.
It smells like green jello.
Well, that was a fun way to end the holiday Bracktacular.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any specific holiday wishes you guys have for this coming up time frame?
Yeah, I want to wish you two Chuckle Fucks and all of our listeners a very happy holiday season. For whatever holiday you celebrate, I hope you have a fantastic one. And Aaron O'Donnell, I know you're listening. I want you to have the best holiday, buddy.
There you go.
I may try to find some kind of like Christmas music for this one. So, Aaron, if you've got some, maybe I'll find some.
Search his YouTube channel. Yeah, I mean, again, best wishes to everyone that listens week after week. The few people that reach out and let us know is always entertaining. So a special thank you to the Bracketeers that are fans enough to let us know that they listen and interact. But to everyone, really. And to you two Chuckle Fucks in particular.
I mean, I think it's important for us, right? We've been doing this for a while now. It's been almost a year. We're getting close to it. So I feel like this has been very successful for us. Obviously not in the number of listeners or money that we've made, but in the amount of time that we've been able to spend together. Because as mentioned earlier, I always wanted a big family, always wanted brothers, always wanted people around that, cared, and got to feel that a bit in my time. But I appreciate having you both here. And I hope that your partners both have happy holidays. Not you so much, but your partners do. So if you guys want to come
in spite of our
hang
best
out
efforts
with me, that's fine too. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. Dan, happy Hanukkah.
Yes, we know he practices.
Practice makes perfect.
There you go. Next week, it's hard to think about going even beyond the holiday special, but we're gonna keep this train rolling. We're gonna break format one more time. Because again, it just so happens that next week's episode falls on the holiday, falls right on New Year's. So what better way to celebrate than a special 2025 predictions episode? So we've been working behind the scenes without communicating with each other to come up with some predictions for what we think will happen in 2025. So come back next week and hear our thoughts on what you can expect in the next year. We'll discuss some resolutions as well. Maybe pick on Matt a little less. yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys think is going to happen in the next year.
Yeah, I'm anticipating next week's episode being incredibly dark. So I'm going to try to keep it light, but we'll see. We'll see.
I think mine are pretty good. I don't think it's too dark in any way. Maybe one of them. Maybe one's a little dark. We'll see. Anyway, you'll have to tune in next week to find out.
Yep.
Until then, I have been, what was it? The jolliest elf, Scott Grubb.
I don't remember that. I'm Matt.
And I'm smuggling a lawnmower. Dan.
Bye-bye.